Hi, I'm Delegate Shank, Minority Whip of the House Republican Caucus. Welcome to the Minority Report. This week we're going to be talking about the budget that the House of Delegates has passed. Many of us voted against the budget for a variety of reasons, and this week we're going to be talking with Gail Bates from Howard County, District 9. Gail is a ranking member on the House Appropriations Committee. Gail, talk to us a little bit about Governor O'Malley and his lack of leadership on this budget. Many of us feel that going into this legislative session, we were very much looking towards Governor O'Malley to lead us in the budget discussions and offer some leadership, and many of us were sadly disappointed that he failed to do that. Tell us why.
Well, we were facing serious write-downs in revenue, serious economic issues, and the budget that he put down to the legislature, although, well, he said it was balanced, it really was not. It was at least $1 billion in the hole that required a lot of rating of funds and all kinds of other things that we had to do to make the budget balance. We talked about that once before with the BRFA bill and all the things that were done in that. As we went along and we saw serious revenue write-downs, we really saw him not at all. You know,
so
the legislature was faced with making the tough decisions to cut programs, things like police protection, highway user funds, things that were really important to local governments.
So our reserve funds have been drained. Our very core functions of state government have been eviscerated in many ways. The governor has shown a definite lack of leadership, but all the while the structural deficit that the largest tax increase in Maryland's history was passed to solve remains in the out years.
In fact, it's even going to get worse because of all of the federal money that's come down that is going to be growing programs. We had the Department of Energy grew by almost 900% because of federal funding.
And many of us are concerned that we could be setting the stage for yet another tax increase after 2010 as a consequence of this reckless spending.
If there's anything true about government, once you put programs in place, you rarely get rid of them.
And this government, in this budget, actually spends $600 million more this fiscal year than it spent last fiscal year, despite the fact that we're in a down economy.
Absolutely.
And this Republican caucus, our minority leader Tony O'Donnell, offered an amendment to scale that back, but yet it was rejected. Tell us a little bit about that.
Right, we are growing. The amendment was to level fund the budget at a time when most of our constituents are doing more with less. It seems only reasonable that our state budget should, at least be level funded, if not reduced. We made some serious reductions in the state side of the budget, but the federal money that is forcing new programs and expansion of programs is the area that we really almost were offline for us to deal with. But the amendment to take the $605 million would have allowed them to go into and take that money and let the governor make those decisions.
All over the country there's been a big concern about this issue of transparency in budgeting. And our very own Delegate Warren Miller from your county has put forth some very good pieces of legislation about transparency. You had an amendment on the floor that would have led to some transparency as far as how these federal funds are spent. Many of us would prefer that we do what Bobby Jindal have done, and that is reject some of these federal funds that are being spent with the variety of federal mandates that are attached to them. Tell us about what your amendment did that would have aided in this transparency effort.
Well, these are extraordinary times, and I know our governor is still going hat in hand to Washington looking for more money. He really, his answer to everything is to go to the next level up. He did that when he was mayor, so why not now? But anyway, he's looking for more money, and I suspect there will be substantial additional federal money flowing through after we're finished with our budget, when we're not in session and don't have the oversight. The budget language allows him to spend that money just through a budget amendment that would only be notifying the leaders of the committees, because we won't be in session. And I ask that we get reports that have opportunity to comment on any additional federal funds and how it's being spent, so we have the requisite oversight. People expect us to do that, and we can't do it unless we get that information.
one of the things as well, and that was a great amendment, and unfortunately was defeated on a party line vote. One of the other amendments that I offered on behalf of the caucus was another amendment that would have said that all funds that the governor got from the federal government as a result of the Stimulus Act, anything that had an unfunded mandate attached to it, dealing with Medicaid or unemployment spending or welfare spending, many of these new funds that are coming from the federal government have strings attached that have long-term implications on the state. And the last time I checked, the 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution is alive and well. But yet, certain people in Washington, and Governor O'Malley is complicit in this, seem to run fast and loose with the 10th Amendment. And it just seems to me that as policymakers, we need to say, wait just a second here. We have a 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution, and those powers are reserved to the people and to the states accordingly. And so many of these decisions are going to cost us in the long run. What do you think about that?
They really are. They're going to be extraordinarily costly. We will be hiring people to do these programs, and when the money runs out, it will be very hard to cut them loose. I suspect we would not cut them loose at all. But it's a serious problem. The founding fathers they really feared a strong federal government, and sadly that's what we have right now.
Thank you very much for joining this week's Minority Report. We certainly appreciate it, and stay tuned for next week. Thanks, Gail.
Thank you.